And so we're going to introduce the settlements capability, and we'll put all the framework back into the platform itself to handle these enhanced applications. But the focus is really on the new applications themselves. I mentioned settlements, customer service portal. One of the things our customers ask for is if we're giving our customers engagement and our customers can go along and look at their consumption, what does the customer support rep look at when that customer calls in and says, why is my bill so high here or here? And we need that ability for the customer service rep to also see that same data, but they don't need to see everything else. So we're going to introduce a customer service portal, network loss management technology to look for the technical loss, and then prepayment support to really start servicing aggressively the retail marketplace. Our product has really been more for the non-retailers in the market. We want to open up the retail space as well, and there's been strong demand for our products there, so we'll introduce prepayment. Aaron, through the course of his presentation and throughout the conference, you'll have the opportunity to see all these different applications, and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised with what you see. The key application, though, is really advanced analytics. And this is the thing that everybody's been asking for is, okay, I have all this smart grid data, I have all this information. It's really just data until which time I add analytics and convert it to information. Information is something you and your business can act on. This is what, how Amazon became what Amazon is. They didn't just collect transactions, they collected information about you. They collected data about you. They collected everything they needed in order to market to you more effectively and sell you more and more products. And so essentially the advanced analytics gives you that capability to say, I can go out there and I can look at this data and I can look at the information and I can glean information from that. And I can make business decisions about it. And my belief is there's tremendous value in this data. We're going to have to pay attention to things, and this is going to raise visibility. Again, you'll hear some about this later in the conference, about privacy. Because now if you have data and you're looking at it and you're exploring it and you're converting to information, immediately you'll start moving down into the realm of, well, what are you allowed to do with this data? But to me, that's a good problem to have. We want to enable you to have it. So during Aaron's presentation this morning, you'll see some really interesting views of the analytics product. You'll also, tomorrow morning in the general session, you'll see a case study presented by CenterPoint. We actually took their data in, worked with CenterPoint to really find out some astonishing and interesting information. So CenterPoint will be presenting that tomorrow, where we've actually done some analytics against this data. So really, really interesting product, but analytics, I believe, will become a predominant differentiator. Again, this all ties back to, because we've passed the hurdle of scalability, our product working, our product running effectively, we get to now focus on what's the additional business value. Well, our competitors are primarily focused on still trying to just make their products run. So this has been really exciting for us, is getting the analytics out. We think it offers tremendous promise in the marketplace. The other thing we're doing is we're expanding the appliance options. Again, these are the appliances. They run either Linux or AIX. They're put together with IBM hardware. Our partnership with IBM really strong around appliances. The reality is there's utilities of all sizes. We've had kind of a medium and large appliance. What we're introducing at the conference today is a small appliance, really targeted towards those shops that have 10,000 meters. And believe it or not, there's a lot of city municipalities that are very small, they're independent. They too want the benefits of the smart grid. And it's really hard if you live in the shadows of a big utility and you're a very small player to say, well, we're too small to have that. We don't believe that. We think there's all the same operational benefits, business benefits, information, ability to regulate consumption, do customer engagement for the small utilities as there is for the large utilities. And again, our continued commitment to multiple deployment options for customers of all sizes. The other thing we're doing, and I mentioned this earlier, is SaaS as an option. We announced our Verizon relationship. Think about Verizon in this case. Yes, they are a cellular provider, and that's the way a lot of you know about Verizon. The reality is a really core part of really all the telecom businesses, but Verizon in particular, is infrastructure and cloud services. They provide infrastructure management, they provide infrastructure capacity, network management for lots of companies. And they do that up in the cloud, and they do that through their professional services organization. They really focus heavily on privacy and security, so these environments up in the cloud are known to be highly secure. And there's some utilities that are going to look at it and say, my competency is really not running IT systems. Why don't I go ahead and outsource that capability, or why don't I lean on a cloud provider, just as Salesforce.com exists to manage sales information, or a company I do a lot of dealings with is Taleo. They do HR and recruiting software and performance management software. Why not go ahead and put the MDM up in the cloud, or put various services up in the cloud that process meter data and provide value to a utility? So this is going to be a really interesting partnership. You'll want to stay tuned to this space, because I think there's some really interesting things we're going to be able to do by taking really the leading product in the MDM space and the information management side, put our platform up there, combined with their cloud and infrastructure capabilities that will really drive some interesting results. Also out on the horizon is version 8 of the product. We talked a lot about version 8 last year. Nothing's really changed relative to our version 8 strategy. We're continuing to work on version 8, and we can flip to the next slide. I don't know if this is not working. Energy IP version 8, new UI for better user experience. So we're continuing to work on that. The analytics framework is going to be even more complete relative to ad hoc analytics capability. We're continuing to spend a lot of time on installation, configuration, upgrade capability. We want to make sure that we minimize the disruption to your business going from 7 to 8. And just the same, as I mentioned before, we're building our applications being 8 aware already. So those applications already know, obviously, that 8's coming, so that those applications will move over smoothly as well. So really, a lot of architectural updates. We think 8's going to continue to be a critical product. If you look beyond just kind of all the issues, and we go back to headlines, we started on headlines, I'm going to finish on headlines, which is, think about what's gone on in the world. Over in Japan with the nuclear issues related to the earthquake and the tsunami, all of a sudden nuclear power being called into question. Well, what happens if the world producers really have to dial down capacity based on nuclear? What's that going to do relative to smart grid? If you don't have a smart grid, how are you going to manage consumption? If you don't have customer engagement, how are you going to tell your customers that you really need their help and you need to proactively dial everybody down? You can ask for 20% curtailment, but what does the customer do with it if they don't have engagement? Most customers do not go out and jot down their meter reads and go, okay, I got my 20% curtailment. That's not the way they operate. We want the ability that says if the world has to change here, the curtailment can really happen. There's other things going on, electric vehicle charging stations in what we call the Prius communities. If you're in a Prius community and everybody switches from a Prius that actually uses fuel to get going and self-charges, and you now are plugging in electric vehicles, can the infrastructure hold it? Or in these narrow